Okay, you can see that I have completed the first motif, and we are doing join as you go 4 motifs together to form a bigger square. And I am going to join with a slip stitch here where that stitch marker is located. And I've not changed colors. This is just the same yarn. It's the long color changes of the yarn that has changed the color here. So I'm going to slip stitch into the same spot as the stitch marker and leave that stitch marker there, and then I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm going to pick up loops until I have 7 loops. The first one is already on the hook, so I'll be picking up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the golden number here is 15. We want 15 total loops on our hook to continue with the same mitered square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm going to stitch into these chains along the side. That's 8. And 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now if I didn't work into this side here, there would actually be a dip in the mitered square. So I make my 15th stitch. I just jab it in at that last spot, and that one is a little tight. So now we have 15 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That is our golden number. Now you're just going to continue the same way you did before. Chain 1. This is the second stitch. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Now pull through 4 to close 3 loops. And close. And I'm going to go ahead and continue with this square, and you will be able to finish this. It is exactly the same as you did before. Just continue closing these loops until you have your completed mitered square. Now I have just finished my second mitered square. So I'm going to snip that off, pull through 3 loops, and that's the second. Now let's go back over here where I have the stitch marker, and I'm going to join yarn again at that stitch marker. Just pull up a loop, make a slip knot there, and then chain 7, just like you did before. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now pull up loops in those chains until you have 7 loops on your hook. 1, that makes 2, so I'm going to count that way. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see if I can find that 7th one. 7. Now remember, the golden number is 15. So if I work across, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to have to work into this edge again. So 7. I'm going to pull up a loop there. 8. Wait a minute. Let's just make sure. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I need to pull up a loop here as well. So just count out just to make sure that you know where you're going. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then we're going to have to make a stitch in that tight one. There we go. Pull up a loop. If you can, pull up, there we go. Okay, so now we just make sure that we've got 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That is our golden number, 15. So you close this just like you did the other two and continue with your mitered square. That's the 3rd mitered square. Now I've completed the 3rd square. I'm just going to cut it off. Fasten off. At this point, you don't need the stitch marker anymore, so you can remove that little guy. Let's take that out of there if I can. Hard to see what I'm doing under the camera here. I know I can get that out of there. Now come on. There we go. Now we have 3 joined mitered squares. Now for the last one, we're going to need a square right here. So I need 15 loops. On this one, you don't need to chain out. You've got plenty of space here for the 15 loops. Let's just see where we need to put them though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the center, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 1 on the edge. So let's go ahead and grab the yarn. Now this one I'm not going to make a slip knot here at the end because it's not necessary. I'm just going to pull up a loop. Now later on I'll go ahead and tie that, but right now I've got enough space here, it's not going to come out. So 1, that's 1 on the hook, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I know that the people who requested this pattern are suddenly knocking themselves in the head. Now How did I not think of that? Made a little hole there. It's very simple. I had only a couple of days. I'm just going to go ahead and go for that. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had only a couple of days to go ahead and get this video finished before I knew you were going to think about how to do it yourself. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then that 15th one, try to squeeze it in there. Definitely not going to fit there. I'm just going to put it right there. And now we have our magic number of 15 loops, and you'll just close these exactly the same as you did before. Now I've finished the 4th square, and see the way that these mitered squares work with the self-striping yarn. It looks like I've got 2 different colors here going on, but really it's the same ball of yarn. Now I'm not going to cut off the last one because I want to border this. So all I'm going to do is chain 1, and then I'm going to stitch along each side with 3 chains at each corner, 3 single crochet at each corner. I'm going to start with 3 single crochet, then I'm going to stitch along. Now what I do suggest is that you count your stitches here along the edge, and that way you can have the same number of stitches on each edge. It's important for seaming, so you just go ahead and single crochet in each, 3 single crochet at the corners, then stitch across and another 3, and then can completely go all the way around, slip stitch to the first single crochet. Now I've single crocheted around the edge. I put 13 single crochets along the edge, 3 in each corner. Now I'm ready to snip off, but just a tip, I like to pull a lot of yarn, like maybe 13, 14, 15 inches before I cut it off. And this, I pull that loop through there. I just pull it straight through. Then I pull it to the back. I insert my hook so that I can pull this strand to the back. I just think that that makes a better finishing to the square. And I pull that. Now the reason why I've got this long strand of yarn is because I just put a yarn needle in there and use that strand for seaming. I always do that for all of my squares that I seam together, because if it will save you 2 less ends to weave in later on if you cut off and use this strand. And that is your 4 motif mitered square joined as you go, and it looks like you've stitched these individually and seamed them, but I didn't. And if you want to make bigger squares, these are 15. You can make bigger squares. You can go as big as you want with the squares as long as you start off with an odd number. And that is a mitered square.